Hey everybody, welcome to the PixelBlips podcast for March 3rd, 2013. I'm Andy Ryan, I'm Special Winlet. Next to me is a man who screams tilt the moment you touch his hips, Dave DeWart. Dave, happy belated birthday, and what have you been playing this week, you old man?
Shut up. You'll be 30 or 29 in a couple of weeks, months. I've been playing Chrono Trigger on my Vita. I was trying to get it done before the end of February. I only completed 2 of my 4 games.
Bam!
Andy got
Sucker!
all 4.
I got 4.
Yeah. Even if you cheat and count Sonic episode.
No, I got Sonic episode 1 and 2 as one game.
Okay. So I've been playing Chrono Trigger. I'm not super far. I'm at the part where you get Frog, the the sword. You have to rebuild the sword. You have to go back and get the red. So I've got that. Spoilers. I think I'm like a quarter of maybe a quarter of the way through the game. I don't even know. So I've got that. And I've been playing more or less a lot of PlanetSide 2 this week.
Okay.
I've had it installed for a while on my desktop. I just never got around to playing it. And I had some time. I was off on my birthday on Wednesday, so I've done some time into playing PlanetSide 2, and I am terrible at PlanetSide 2. But it's it's a free-to-play shooter that you buy upgrades for your characters. So the longer you play, the more stuff you get, or you can throw money down and do whatever. But
pay with your time.
We'll talk about that later.
Pay with your
foreshadowing
cash. So that's all you.
That's pretty much all I've been playing. I mean, I tried to play more Assassin's Creed Liberation, but there's something about it. Like running through the swamp just isn't doing it for me. Well, I think I'm on the story missions where you have to run through the swamp.
Yeah,
so.
I think a lot of it is with you playing Assassin's Creed 3 and that. Yeah. Maybe you're just Assassin's Creeded out.
Yeah, but I better get back onto the Ass Creed bandwagon by November.
Someone needs money.
Someone needs money.
Someone at Ubisoft has a cocaine habit that Dave needs to
fund.
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever. We'll see come November what Black Flag brings.
Yeah. Better bring Henry Rollins.
Better. You better be somebody's voice, or like a likeness of Henry Rollins in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Just have an angry guy in a bar.
I don't know why they would name it that.
It's all about pirates, I guess.
Well, yeah, but let's call it Jolly Roger or something.
No, because that's not.
Or like Skull and Crossbones or something.
Yeah, I could see.
There's a litany of pirate flag terms.
Yeah, I know. It seems like that's.
Or just call it Dread.
Assassin's Creed 4 Dread.
Well, it's no dumber than Revelations.
Yeah, that's true.
Or Brotherhood.
Brotherhood had a storyline thing in where he was building the Brotherhood, the Assassin's Brotherhood back up. Revelations was just like, okay, it finishes off Ezio's story and blah, blah, blah. It's whatever.
Well,
anyway.
There was a lot of other names they could have picked that are not like perennial 20th century hardcore punk bands.
Yes.
That are pretty freaking famous.
Yeah.
It's like they called it Assassin's Creed The Ramones.
Yeah, but that wouldn't make any sense.
Well, I don't think Black Flag makes a lot of sense.
Whatever. Anyway, what have you been playing other than the I Hate Assassin's Creed band?
Well, I'm not on the I Hate Assassin's Creed bandwagon. I actually really like Liberation, so.
Well, but that's the only Assassin's Creed game you played since the first one.
Yeah. So, and I like the story. I like the character in it. I like Eveline. The Grand Prix. So I've been playing a considerable amount of stuff this week because it's been snowy.
Yeah.
We got hit. The Kansas City metro area got hit by its second large winter storm this season.
Yeah, 18 inches of snow in a week and a half?
Yeah. I think some places like topped out over 2 feet.
It just depends on where you are. But
yeah, which for Kansas City is crazy.
Yeah.
Considering I think like the last year we got like 7.
Throughout the entire season.
Yeah, throughout the entire season.
We went from drought to almost normal in a week.
No, we're not almost normal because it's melted precipitation.
Yeah, but I mean, as it melts, it actually soaks into the ground.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Never mind. This is an NPR. We don't need to be talking about.
We don't need to be talking about global warming.
Sweaty balls. So I've been playing a lot of stuff. I played a lot more of Vanquish, but I haven't finished it yet.
I haven't finished it either.
I've played a lot more of Ni no Kuni, but I haven't finished it yet either.
Well, that's a 40-hour game.
Yeah. In Ni no Kuni, I'm now kind of getting into this weird side avenue of just crafting stuff just to see what happens.
Just to see what kind of cool stuff you'll get.
Yeah, and you get a dragon at a certain part of the game where you can fly wherever you want to forage for stuff. So I keep like flying, and I'm like land, forage. Land,
yeah.
Forge.
Go to a different area. It's like, okay, forest, find what I can find.
Yeah,
desert, find what I can find.
Now I have like 8 different new items that I've never used before. Let's see what happens when we throw these all together in the genie pot. Oh, nothing.
You just wasted all this crap.
Yeah, so I'm having fun with it. But once again, it's one of those games where you have to block out a 2-hour block of time.
Yeah, you just have to sit down for 2 hours and chunk and just blast through that chunk.
Well, yeah, and even to do like story missions and stuff like that. So I've kind of gotten to a spot where I'm comfortable and I'm just kind of dorking around and
yeah. You don't want to push the story ahead because it'll be like, and here's a 10-minute cutscene. You have to get up in the middle of it, or yeah.
So let's see what else.
That's my problem with JRPGs now. It's like, okay, I could play it in like 20-minute chunks.
But that's the thing I like about JRPGs.
Well, yeah.
As I like, before I had Kuni, I was playing Lunar Eternal Blue for the second time, third time, fourth time. First time on the PlayStation, second time overall.
Okay.
And I like being able to just, after lunch on my day off, go upstairs with half an eaten sandwich and a Coke and be up there until dinner.
Yeah, that is kind of nice.
Yeah, it's just like, I'm just going to do this, and I don't have to worry about checkpoints, and I know that in a JRPG, the more you explore, there's always going to be something new. You're not going to... There's not going to be that thing I ran into in Vanquish where, like, I kept shuttling back to a checkpoint that was right before a big challenge.
Mm-hmm.
So I would often, like, do the challenge...
And then die 5 minutes later.
Make the wrong choice later, and then be shuttled back and, like, get stuck in a sleep.
Yeah. Play the same 2 or 3 things over and over.
Yeah, that happened in Spec Ops as well. And JRPGs don't really have that.
No, you just have to remember to save. Because
Yeah,
if you don't,
well,
then you're going to wind up doing all that crap again.
Even in Ni no Kuni, they go one better, and if you haven't saved, you can just spend 10% of whatever gold stash you have.
And it'll just pick you back up.
It'll just pick you back up.
That's cool.
On the world map. So
yeah,
it's more forgiving.
I did that in
it gives you a choice though. So
yeah.
you don't have to do that if you want to be hardcore.
Yeah, no, I did that in Chrono Trigger. I did the the Masamune fight.
Masamune.
Yeah, I did that fight, and then I died trying to get back to the frog, and then I had to redo it. So I was just like, I'm done. I'm not doing this again right now. But then the second time it was easy because you have to. I remembered, okay, you only attack the guy on the right because the other guy will counterattack all the time. So. It is cool. I mean, I miss playing I miss playing JRPGs a lot, but with the Vita, it's easy because you can just hit the PS button, suspend it, pick it back up when you're done. Which is kind of awesome that they're going to put that on PS4.
Yes, very awesome, and the fact that you'll be able to have multiple states going at the same time. So
you have like 3 games going on at once.
Well, you could. I don't know if they've said multiple. So that to me that says at least 3.
Yeah.
And if it's like the Vita. It'll just, or actually, we'll go even more. If it's like the PSP Go, they just save like a state.
It's just a save state, like an emulator would have.
Just a save state, like an emulator would have, and then you pick it up.
That's cool. That's pretty awesome. I mean, I use that.
But we don't know how it's going to work. It could be like the Vita, where you have to have programs, keep the program open, and certain programs don't play well with other programs.
Yeah. We'll see about that, but
it is good.
Yep. And it helps with those JRPGs.
Yeah, with those JRPGs. So what else have I been doing? Oh, I played Zen Pinball.
Oh, they left. Was that
Tuesday?
Yeah.
Star Wars.
The Star Wars pinball machines.
Yeah.
That came out. Now they're not the licensed Star Wars pinball machines, right? Because there's like 2 or 3 of them that have come out.
No.
Oh.
These are Zen Pinball machines. We're going to talk about this. Okay. And because when I was on Raptor, which I highly recommend anyone who watches this podcast and plays games joins Raptor, www.raptr.com. It's a social network for gamers, and it connects you with other people that are playing the games that you're playing, which I think is genius.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Xbox or PlayStation should probably co-opt them in the next generation. Anyway, so people like to bitch, whine, and moan about Zen Pinball. Because it's not realistic, because the physics aren't great, because they're not real tables, because you couldn't do it in real life, because of all these things. To those people I say, do you only play Gran Turismo?
No.
Do you only play MLB The Show?
No.
If
I want to play pinball, I want to play as realistic pinball as I can get.
Do you only play Splinter Cell?
No, I don't.
Okay. Sometimes you need something that's maybe a little more arcadey, that's a little more fun, that's not a simulation, that's not,
I understand.
Microsoft Flight Simulator. So, and to say that because Zen Pinball isn't a simulation, it's worse or it's bad.
Going from Pinball Arcade to Zen Pinball, there is a distinct difference in the way that the physics work in that game.
Yeah, great.
And
there's a distinct difference in the way a car handles in Gran Turismo
versus the way it handles in real life. Yes, I understand that.
I mean, we have arcadey games.
Yes.
Not everything has to be a simulation,
No,
and to
that's
say
not.
that because it's not a simulation, it's worse or it's bad.
I do not prefer it.
Well, you can't argue with preference, and I agree.
my idea
and
is,
I agree with that.
Yeah.
That if you don't have a preference for it,
then I won't
that's
play
fine.
it. And in my opinion, it is worse than playing it on
no,
Pinball
I
Arcade.
wouldn't say worse.
I don't like it.
I like and worse are two different things. Having a preference and objectifying that preference are two different things, and that's what I talk about when I say that, like, we need arcadey things.
Yes, we do need arcade.
Not everyone wants, sometimes you want to play Daytona USA, you don't want to play Gran Turismo.
No.
Sometimes you want to play Afterburner, you don't want to play Flight Simulator. So, like, all these things have a place.
Yeah, they do.
Sometimes you want to play The Sims, not SimCity.
If you want to play a subpar pinball game, you play.
But that's my point. It's not subpar. And
in my opinion, it is subpar. In your opinion, it is superior.
In your preference, it is subpar. But I still won't even use subpar. You don't have a preference for it. Zen Pinball has sold more. Zen Pinball tables are higher rated.
It came out first.
Okay.
It came out first. It has been on the market longer. More people have it.
Oh. So that's your defense. Since it's been here longer and you don't like it,
Not
that's the
necessarily.
only way it could sell more.
No. That is one of the ways that it has sold more.
Well, it's sold more on the Vita, and Pinball Arcade was there first on the Vita.
Pinball Arcade, and what is it? Zen Pinball is also free on the Vita.
It's free to try the tables, but not to own them.
No, but you can try it. You can do that. You cannot do that as well with Pinball Arcade.
I thought that was in the demo of Pinball Arcade, but maybe I'm mistaken.
I don't know. Either way, you
Yes.
like
I'm
Zen
saying-
Pinball. I like Pinball Arcade. That's
Yeah.
how this works.
I'm just saying that there's a place for arcadey,
Yes, there is.
like non-simulations, and just because something is not a simulation doesn't mean you should turn yourself off to it and
Okay.
say it's bad or it's worse or I highly doubt. I will go on record. I haven't played. There isn't an Empire Strikes Back pinball table, but I highly doubt that if there were a real-life Empire Strikes Back pinball table, it would be as impressive and as fun as the Empire Strikes Back pinball table.
Probably not,
In
because
the-
there are limitations to what you could do with a real pinball machine.
Well, even in Pinball Arcade,
Yeah.
these are fun, and that's a good yardstick with measuring the worth of a game.
If you
Is it
like
fun?
that kind of game, then yes, that is what you want. Never mind.
Anywho, so when I logged in for Star Wars Pinball,
Mhm.
I noticed that a lot of my high scores had been poached. So I've been going through
And
the
trying
past
to get
couple
them
days
up?
and get my scores back up.
Well,
Things like the Avengers movie table, the
that's
Spider-Man
just how
table.
that's how those things work,
Yeah,
though.
it's
Because
a-
people will be like, "Hey, that guy's got 8 billion points. I bet I can get 9."
Yeah.
And then they sit there and play it for 3 hours, and eventually they get their points.
Like
up.
this morning, I reclaimed my Fear Itself pinball table high scores.
Oh, good.
You're all on watch on my friends list.
Wait, what was it? Fear It?
Fear Itself.
Oh, Fear Itself.
It's
okay.
the Marvel crossover from two.
I thought it was like the No
summers ago.
Fear table. I'm like,
No.
I remember that one.
Well, that's the other thing is like Zen Pinball has tables for licenses that don't exist in real life.
No, there's Iron Man tables.
Yeah, there's an Iron Man table, but
There's no
and
Avengers table.
There's an Iron Man table. There's a Spider-Man table. There isn't an
But I mean,
Avengers table. There isn't a Thor table. There isn't a Civil War table. There isn't a Fear Itself table.
Yeah, it's because Stern is the only one that's still making pinball machines,
Yeah.
and they can only get 1 or 2 licenses at a time, and it takes a long time to get these things made.
Yes.
So,
But I still want pinball, and maybe I want pinball from these licenses. Maybe
Yeah.
I want to play. I don't want to play a Blade pinball table ever. I don't really like the one in Zen Pinball, but maybe I'm a fan of Blade. Maybe I want that.
okay, I get it. I mean,
I'm a fan of Wolverine.
They can,
I want the Wolverine
they
table.
can put out tables that don't exist in real life because you can't get the licensing deals, or because they can't make them in real life, just because there's no manufacturers that do this. So, I understand Zen Pinball's niche.
I would say Pinball Arcade is the niche. I would say
They're
Zen Pinball
both-
is the
they're-
broader audience.
Well, video pinball in and of itself is a niche.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I was amazed at some of the sales figures,
Oh.
especially for the DLC.
Because you slice out the tables, what, 2 or 4 at a time?
Usually 4 at a time. The pinball, the Star Wars pinball, I felt kind of cheated by when I first bought it, because normally it's $10 and you get 4 tables.
Yeah.
That's been the 2 Marvel packs, the Virtue and Vengeance and the Avengers Chronicles.
I remember seeing them.
I don't know. I know
there's a
it's-
handful of them.
I know it's So normally it's $10 for those, and you get 4 tables.
Yeah.
The Star Wars one, it's $10. You only get 3 tables. But these tables are amazing.
It's Star Wars, so people will pay that.
Like, I hate the Clone Wars, the TV show,
yeah.
and the actual thing, the concept of it.
Yeah, yeah.
But that Clone Wars table is very fun.
Well, good.
As a pinball table. And I think you're being prejudiced, being bigoted and prejudiced.
I used to own pinball machines. That's the problem.
Well,
I have played a lot of real pinball.
I used to own the Thunderbird.
You used to own a Thunder. Who cares about the Thunder?
I know, but like when I'm playing Grand Theft Auto, I'm not like this car handles.
This car doesn't handle like my Thunderbird.
Yeah, this one clearly doesn't have the back end that my Thunderbird had.
Yeah. I think my whole problem is I've played enough real pinball that playing anything that doesn't even feel real is going to turn me off to want to play it.
Yeah, well, that's true.
So anyway,
Dave's very particular about his balls.
I am very particular about my shiny balls.
I can't believe I made it that long without saying that.
Okay,
so,
anyway.
On the subject of DLC. And
yes,
the
we're
cost
talking
of
about DLC and things of that nature.
And I like how Pinball Arcade does DLC. I like how the Capcom Arcade cabinet does DLC, even though I don't agree with their pricing of it.
Yeah.
I like the fact that these things that you would normally get for, normally a pinball machine in the heyday, quarter a play.
Yeah, quarter 50 cents. Now it's 50 cents or more because it's hard to find. But
yeah. So to me, spending $10 for 4 tables or $2.50 a pop
isn't really that bad when you consider you're going to play them more than 5 or 10 times.
Yes.
So
it would be at 10 times. If it was a quarter a pop, at 10 times of playing that machine,
playing one table, you have paid it for it.
You've paid your money back.
Yeah.
The Capcom arcade cabinet, I feel the same way.
How much are those games each?
I think they're $2.50 a pop, but I think it's $6 if you buy.
Like
There's a deal if you buy the pack.
Okay.
Now I don't agree with it because I feel like these things should have a season pass, because the Capcom arcade cabinet, like at the end of it, if you buy all the packs, you get 2 games free.
Okay.
Or you can buy them all at once. You can like spend $20 or $30 and you get the whole Capcom arcade cabinet. And I want to do that, but I don't necessarily want to wait to do that.
Yeah. Well, so wait. Okay.
So my idea is like if I gave Capcom $30 now, they would give me
all your packs as they came out and the 2 games at the end.
Yes.
But if you pay them, did you have to buy them all separately in order to get the 2 games at the end?
No, you can buy them all separately if you want them now.
Oh, okay.
And you get the 2 free games at the end. Or at the end, you can buy the whole pack and you get the 2 free games.
Okay. And now, isn't that a free game to begin with? Like, isn't the arcade thing a free game? So that's...
Black Tiger.
Yeah.
Which...
But I mean, like, the
it's not my favorite Capcom.
Yeah. But, like, the program the emulator that they put on there, it's a free emulator, comes with 1 game.
Yep.
And then can you try the other games before you buy them? Or do you have to buy the packs? Okay, so...
You can try the other games. But you have to download them separately, and I think you only get a certain amount of credits.
Like 5 or something.
Yeah, and it cops out. So I agree with that, and I agree with most DLC. Famously, there's only been 1 piece of DLC I disagree with, and that's DLC for the remember the Prince of Persia reboot?
Yeah.
They had a DLC chapter that was the actual ending of the game.
Yeah, and you had to pay an extra $3 or whatever.
Yeah, like the ending of the game was there when I played it, and I was like, well, that's decent. I don't know if I really liked it.
And then it's like, hey,
and then they were like, the DLC episode, and it was like, the actual ending. And I was like, oh, well, you guys.
Well, I think Asura's Wrath did something similar to that, too, where but it was like a Dragon Ball Z ending, and then you get to do, and then it's like, okay, next time on.
Yeah, this
you
was
had the
like
DLC, and then you had like the dude versus Akuma and all this other crazy stuff.
This was actually like an actual like game part.
Yeah.
That I felt was like, so you guys just like.
You gave me 95, and you got to make me pay the last 5%.
Yeah.
I gave you 10, now you got to make me pay the.
But we've gotten away from that with DLC.
I hope.
For a large part. No, I mean for real.
Well, for most times, yeah.
I can't think of a modern game
that's done that
recently. I mean, the Asura's Wrath, like you said, I mean, it's not even like the main story. Like the Prince of Persia thing was part of the main story.
Yeah, it was. And that's that's a really crappy thing to do.
Like the Dragon Age 1, the Awakening DLC is a good example of post main story play.
Yeah, it's an extension of the original story. It's not okay. Now here's some more stuff for your character. Like here's the end.
Yeah.
Not just here's the story.
Here's what happens after the end is what we're talking about instead of here's what the end is.
Yeah.
Like, oh well, that's shitty.
Yeah, it's pretty not cool. But I think
I'm also not a guy that buys skins.
You don't buy skins for.
I don't buy skins.
Yeah, I don't buy skins.
And I disagree with a lot of people that get upset, especially at Capcom.
Well, at anybody, I mean.
For like, they're like, oh, now they're just charging us for different colors. Like, yeah, well, they're charging you, but they're not forcing you to buy it.
No,
so there's the difference. Like,
well, and what was
there's a litany of add-on costumes for every single Capcom game I own, and I don't have any of them.
Yeah, and
because it's just like, I don't need that.
Street Fighter Cross Tekken, you could go in and customize your character colors if you wanted to, but it was limited. Like, you can only have, a certain color palette.
Only a certain fuchsia?
Yeah, you can only have like 5 different colors
I want
to choose from, and then you had to buy more.
Burnt sienna.
I want it to be this crazy orange or something. But things like that are, I don't know. I don't want to say they're anti-consumer, but they're not. I don't want to say they're fair.
Why?
Well, I mean, like if they give you the option.
My point is you don't need to buy it.
You do not need to buy it.
So that's if you bring out DLC where I feel that I need to buy it to get the full story.
Yeah.
Or if I need to buy it, I'm not even talking about like add-on characters for rosters. I'm talking like if I'm playing the arcade mode and I can't play the multiplayer mode without buying DLC.
Well, did you just buy the arcade mode or? Because see, some games have split it up to where you just buy the single player or the multiplayer too. Starhawk. You get the single player for free, you can play the multiplayer, you pay for the multiplayer, or something like that. Like, there's games that have done that, and that's great, if that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
But then, are there microtransactions in the Starhawk multiplayer?
No.
Okay.
Because I've played it. I
know there's some of the Gears of War multiplayer. Like, you can buy weapon skins and things like that.
Well, like weapon skins, costumes, if you're mad at developers for adding that stuff in, you're misplacing your anger, because that stuff is just ways that they can keep monetizing continued development on a game.
Yeah, it is. But I don't know. I think
no one held Cliffy B mentioned this. No one held a gun to your head and made you buy a gun skin.
No one does that. I think.
I think the more iffy area is the freemium model, where the question is you can either pay with your time,
or pay
you can wait out to get more lives, or you can just buy more lives. To me, I think that's stupid, and I think that preys on an impulse in people.
Does. It does prey on an impulse in people.
It's like we play the Trials of Montezuma Blitz.
Yeah, we
played that against each other, and it does this. Oh, you're out of lives. You can buy $1 more lives,
or you can wait 5 minutes and get a couple more of them.
And I think that's designed to prey on people. And when I say prey, that's the word I mean. That's designed to take their money from like kids, people that don't have impulse control.
I know I've done stuff like that in League of Legends. It's like, I want this character, so I dropped $5 and bought the points.
See, I think that's stupid.
But it's a free game, and that's the point that a lot of people make is a free game you can play forever and not give them $1, right?
Yes.
And you can unlock most of the stuff.
Yeah. I played Treasure of Montezuma last week, and I was surprised at what level I was.
Yeah, you're like 60 or 70 or something.
Yeah, I was like, man, I need to stop playing this game.
Yeah, well, I've got like 100 hearts banked up at this point, so I don't ever have to buy anything ever. But so a free game like League of Legends or PlanetSide, that's the only way they make their money, right? Is to sell you boosts or skins or whatever, weapons, whatever it is.
Optional.
Well, it is optional, or you can earn it by playing the game. But if you want to be competitive, because at the beginning of PlanetSide, like I've been saying, I've just been getting slaughtered. It's not just because I suck at the game. That's part of it. But it's also because I'm under-geared.
Yeah, well, that and the other thing is you're playing against people that have been playing for months, you said.
Yeah.
Before we started taping. So those people have put in the time.
Some of them have probably put the time in. Some of them have probably bought upgrades.
Well, yeah.
So
but there are people out there that have put the time in. You shouldn't be as good as them without having to make some other sacrifice.
Yeah.
That's been my point. The freemium model is if you're going up against someone who's played for months and months and months, you just started, you shouldn't be as good as them.
No, but I think there should be a monochrome of skill versus gear, and that's the whole problem that you run into with all kinds of games.
I don't agree with that, because you can make, a good real life example is you can run really fast.
Yeah. Or
you can buy a bike.
You could.
Right?
Yeah.
If you want to get somewhere, you can run or you can pedal your bike really fast, or you can buy a car. So there's a sacrifice there, and that sacrifice is monetary rather than time or skill.
But at no point are you ever going to be able to run as fast as a car. Like you're making that, you're making the analogy, but if you run a lot, you're never going to be able to run enough to catch a car, unless that car is really slow.
Yeah, but you could run as fast as a guy on a bike. I mean, the car is different because the car doesn't deal like with physical exertion.
Yeah.
Like I don't run. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm not a jogger, but I'm pretty sure I could catch up to a 300-pound guy on a bike.
You probably could.
Like,
Unless he was going downhill.
yeah, inertia. But but I'm sure like so like to use my analogy, like we're both starting the game of life,
Mm-hmm.
and I've not.
You didn't pay the
I didn't
$20
get
for the
fat.
bike. Yeah.
I didn't get fat, so I don't pay the $20 for a bike, but I can still beat this guy in a race.
Probably.
Hypothetically.
Probably, maybe.
I mean, my knee's not good, but
Yeah, neither are mine. But I think the whole thing with.
So you're saying the difference is if a $60 game asks you to do that.
And now, if a $60 game has these microtransactions in it,
Mm-hmm.
and like what a Dead Space has them.
Yes.
Dead Space 3 has microtransactions.
Mm-hmm.
It's like here, you can pay to have all this stuff.
You can pay for raw material.
Well, you can pay for raw material, and I think there's also a pack that you can buy that gives you a couple of guns early that you wouldn't have access to.
Oh, okay.
That will break the game.
Well, that was in the first Dead Space, by the way. 'Cause when I bought the first Dead Space, I got a pre-order code
That gave you some guns.
that gave me the guns that I wouldn't have had until later. And I remember I played through it once, forgot about the pre-order code, played through it a second time, put in the pre-order code, and realized that had I put in the pre-order code
you
the
would
first
have
time,
ruined the experience of the game.
yeah, the gun that used the plasma cutter, the
Mhm.
main gun, would have been like maxed out by chapter 2.
Yeah. So I mean, there's stuff like that.
But that's a reward for pre-ordering the game.
Well, yeah, that is a pre-order reward. But then, do you really want to play the game on super easy mode because you put your $5
that would
down
have changed
3 months ahead of time?
That would have changed my opinion
Of the game.
And I think when you talk about Dead Space 3, you don't have to spend.
You do not have to buy the stuff.
No, in fact, you don't even have to mine the thing that the microtransactions buy you,
Mm-hmm.
like the ore or whatever it is. You don't even need. My understanding is you don't even really need that in the game. Every single reviewer has said like
You can get it, yeah.
you can get it, but it's kind of this side questy item.
Well, and it allows you to recombine and like make new weapons, but you never run out of the stuff as long as you keep tearing the weapons apart, and then you get 100% of your stuff back and recombine it. But like at the beginning of the game, it's real hard to find, and then later in the game, from what I understand, it's way
super
easier
easy
to find.
Yeah.
But if you have it early, then you can start making weapons earlier.
Yeah.
So,
So my response then is like, Dead Space 3 is a good game or it's not a good game. The
No, no.
microtraction doesn't add into it.
well, it does if you exploit it, but
Well, yeah, but the thing is a lot of times, like guys our age, we
Mhm.
don't have a lot of time to play games.
Yeah.
You and I do actually,
well, more than some people, yes.
more than some people. But maybe I have 3 kids and I like
Yeah.
Dead Space 1, I like Dead Space 2. I want to get to the end of Dead Space 3
Yeah.
in a night.
You want to play through it in one sitting.
Yeah.
Like
And to do that, I need to spend an extra $10 in microtransactions.
Yeah.
That's why that stuff's there.
yeah, it is.
And it's there to help the developer make money. Well, it's there to help the publisher make
help
money.
them recoup costs of
Yeah.
making the game that they may not have gotten from the initial $60.
Yes.
Because development costs have gone up exponentially with this generation.
Yes.
Because of high-res assets.
And they're going to go up
things like
again.
that. Well, they may go up again. I don't know.
Well, they're saying like the average bump is going to be a 10% budgetary increase.
But it's not going to be like the
PS2
to PS3
was like a 50% budgetary
Yeah.
increase. So we're looking at like a fifth of the increase.
of the budget costs. I mean, and what I can gather from everything we've seen about the PS4 is it's mostly because there's just going to be more assets.
Mm.
And it's not so much that they have to look much better, because really, once you hit a certain resolution point on a 1080p TV, you're not going to notice it anymore.
Yeah.
So it can look high res and awesome, but then it'll be more like shader effects and okay, now we have to figure out how to make this engine render all this stuff back here in real time. So, but microtransactions have a place, and
Well, I think
the
that-
game industry is just that, an industry. Clippy B said this in his
Yeah.
post this week, and that's where a lot of this is
I think
coming
getting
from.
mad about it is the thing that I take an issue with.
Yeah, people getting upset about it.
Because that's like when people got upset with them charging $60 for a game.
Mm-hmm.
If you bought a game at $60 and you don't feel that game is worth I'm trying to think of the best way to say this. If you bought a game at $60 and you don't think that game was worth that $60, you have a right to be upset.
Yes.
You made an investment, and your investment didn't come back.
Which is why I buy most games used.
Well, I have another problem with that. But on the flip side, I always pattern it out where I've spent $60 on games and gotten way more than $60.
Well, yeah, like you're going to play Ni no Kuni to death.
Yeah.
And it costs you $60, and you probably got it $200 worth.
A good example is Final Fantasy 13. Final Fantasy 13 and God of War 3 came out within a week of each other.
Mm-hmm.
I think Final Fantasy 13 came out first. I went crazy on it, logged like 20 hours in that week. God of War 3 came out. I played it, went crazy on it, went back to Final Fantasy 13, didn't really like it, put it away for a couple months, went back again, put it away for a couple months, back again. By the time I had actually finished Final Fantasy 13, I had logged over 100 hours in it.
Yeah, you have.
Or almost on like 90 something.
Yeah.
And over the course of 3 years, and that's a game, Final Fantasy 13 is a game I wouldn't say I love.
No.
But I went back to it, I kept using it, more than a $60 I've spent more time in Final Fantasy 13 than I did in God of War 3. They were both $60.
But they're fundamentally different games, that's the thing. Like, God of War 3 is an action-adventure game.
Well, yeah, but we're talking about, like, getting your $60 worth.
Getting your $60.
I feel like I've got my $60 worth.
But getting your $60
over time, I feel I got more than my $60 worth out of both of those games.
Yeah, but getting your $60 worth out of God of War game, I would think, isn't so much
Speaking
a time.
Of which, there's a new God of War game coming out. I love the demo, and
the demo is awesome.
The demo was amazing.
But getting
looks so good.
It's not just a dollars to hours.
No,
number.
but
it's how much fun did you have playing?
Enjoyment.
Yeah.
So like we said, the pinball machines for $250 for one of those 10 packs, or $333 if it was a Star Wars pack. I feel like I more than get my money out of that.
Well, yeah, because if you, like you said, if you play it more than 10 times a table or 12 times a table.
I stopped buying Call of Duty games because I only played the single player, and I feel like they weren't worth $60.
No, the single player in those games isn't. But people who play the multiplayer all day on their Saturdays and Sundays, they'll love the crap out of it. They'll get their $60 out of it in 2 weeks. So, I don't know. It just depends.
And the thing is like, if you want more than what's in that game, I don't even want to say what's on that disc, because what's in that game. Because this is with on-disc DLC, I don't agree with the people that are angry at it. Because the idea that I bought that disc, I own whatever's on it, is fundamentally, legally, not really true. You bought that disc, you don't own the code. You can't crack it open, like everyone wants to. You can't.
Well,
no,
you can't legally.
It's illegal.
You're not saying it's impossible.
I'm not saying it's impossible.
You're saying that you shouldn't do it because you could get in trouble.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you buy it in a legal transaction. I give the developer, I give the publisher money.
$60.
I give them my $60 plus tax. They give me a game on whatever delivery device that is. What that $60 doesn't entitle me to, according to the law,
is all the stuff that's on that CD.
Stuff that's in there. Like, I can't just break that code open, steal assets from it, make my own thing. That $60 doesn't cover that.
Yeah.
And the people that think it does are wrong.
Although I do think it's kind of a dick move on the publisher's part to put DLC on a disc and then require you to pay an extra $5 or $10 to access it.
I only think that's a dick move if it is part of the original game. So if it's a good example is Capcom.
If it is the end of the game or whatever.
Yeah, it's the end of the game. Good example is Capcom with their extra fighters. They have to be on the disc because we need it for compatibility issues or whatever not. I don't know. Like, I'm not a coder. I don't know. That sounds like a reasonable explanation.
There was a lot of technical issues that they would resolve by having the stuff, most of the data on the disc already.
So that, to me, that sounds like a reasonable explanation, and it doesn't affect. Not having Tubby Mega Man doesn't make
Mega Man is awesome.
Doesn't make Street Fighter versus Cross Tekken any worse. It still makes it the same. The core game, Street Fighter Cross Tekken, is the same.
Don't have access.
This is an added bit.
Yeah. And
it just so happens those added bits, instead of being downloaded, are actually on the disc. I don't have a problem with that. Because we're talking about what is an added bit versus what is an essential bit.
I get it. I understand.
And in fighters, like. If you bought a Street Fighter game and the only fighter unlocked at the beginning was Ryu, and it had multiplayer, and the only way you could get, you both had to play Ryu, or you could spend all this other money to buy all this other roster, I would say, yeah, that's bullshit.
What if it was a $5 game?
Still.
If it's a $5 game.
If it's a $5 game.
Or a free game, and all you get is Ryu, and the only way to unlock other characters is to buy them.
If it's a free game, and there's a multiplayer component, me versus you, I should have at least one other character. That's always been my bargain basement for fighting games.
There should be 2 characters.
There should be at least 2 characters that we can play as. Street Fighter 1, if I was Ryu and you put in your second quarter, you came up as Ken.
Yeah, okay.
So that's...
But they're essentially the
basement.
same character with a different skin.
But that's true, but it has to be at least that different, is my...
So you want another skin for the same guy?
Well...
Wait
a minute, why are we talking about Ryu and Ken fighting different? You're a Ken whore.
Not necessarily. Anybody? Flowchart Ken. Fireball, did it hit? No. Fireball again.
Yeah, so they play differently.
They do now, but back then they didn't.
I'm talking there's 2, and even it's a palette swap.
Yeah.
There has to be at least the first player character and the second player character should look different. I should be able to tell them apart.
Yes. Well, that's why.
And that's the bare minimum.
Yeah.
You have to at least do this and not charge me.
But do you really want to play Ryu or Ken for 10 hours in order to unlock Guile?
No.
Okay.
But I would then, if it was a free game or a $5 game and Guile was $3, I would then say, okay, well, I have to pay for Guile then.
I got to pay $3.
Or I have to pay for 10 hours.
Or yeah, you have to play 10 hours of the game as Ryu. And
a lot of people get, this has been
I
around
understand what you're saying.
Yeah,
okay.
This has been around in video games since Bubble Bobble. Because remember, Bubble Bobble was the first with a continue. Thrown another quarter, you can continue. I believe it was the first. It was the first.
It was one of the few.
So if I wanted to see the end boss in Bubble Bobble, I either needed to be really good at Bubble Bobble, or I had to keep feeding quarters.
Yes.
I mean, we ran
That's
into this
the
all
nature
the time.
of arcades.
Yeah, we ran into this all the time in the 90s. You know, if you wanted to see the last level of Dungeons & Dragons Tower of Doom, you had to be really good, or you had to keep popping quarters.
Mm-hmm. Well, in Gauntlet would just kill your time.
When you and I played Simpsons, on just recently on PSN.
On your PSN, yeah.
Yeah, we said man, these games were made to drain your money.
And they are.
And totally, that's... So the idea that microtransactions are new, to me, is always very shocking when kids get... Kids. I'm so old. You're old. You're older than me. You old man.
By 3 months?
Are you going to join the Silver Panthers?
Maybe.
You be part of the AARP?
Yeah.
Anyway, but getting mad, my response to people that get mad, getting mad wastes your time and it's not going to change anything.
No,
because there are people out there that are spending money on Dead Space 3 microtransactions, that are buying gold skins for their Battlefield or Call of Duty guns. There are people out there that are doing this. There's a market for it. The only downside is that occasionally it's abused.
It is abused occasionally. And like I said, I have no problem with it in a free game. Like in a League of Legends or a Planet side, that's how they make their money. Yeah. Or that Candy Crush game that's on Facebook. My wife's addicted to it.
Apparently that Candy Crush game is very, very, very deceptive in how it wants your money.
It is an asshole, dude. It is. It's like, here, you can have these bonuses, and then it takes you to a thing that says, enter your credit card.
That's why I stopped playing Marvel Avengers Alliance.
Because it kept trying to get you to buy stuff.
It was like, you could just buy that. No, I don't want to buy that. I want to play the game. I don't want to.
Yeah, I know. But those Facebook games are just evil. But they're all free to play, and they have that time limitation. You can only do so much stuff.
There's a time
every 2 hours or something like that.
But that's a way that they've found out to monetize playing for free.
Yes.
Okay, so we're coming out of this last generation where we said development costs were really high, and we've seen a lot of good studios close. Can we agree? There
have been a lot of studios. Look at THQ.
Well, development studios have gone. Well, publishers and development studios have two different entities. Remember, when we talk about dev studio, THQ is not a dev studio.
No, but they are a publishing house that had a lot of dev studios in it.
So we've seen them go under. Okay, and the downside of that is we don't get more games by that team. Okay. Because even when it goes under, even when the assets get bought by someone else, you might get another Saints Row game, but it might not be the Saints Row team.
It may not be the same people that were making it. It may not be the same game that they had intended to make.
They might make another Kings of Amalur. It's not going to be that team.
No. Well,
definitely.
It probably will not be the 38 Studios people. But that's okay, because maybe they'll be somewhere else making something better.
Yes. Anywho, so we've seen them go into this. So the $60 title isn't happening, isn't productive.
Yes.
Because it needs to sell 5 million copies, or it needs to sell 10 million copies. So the way around that is we then take that $60 title, and we add bits, and those bits are a supplemental revenue stream.
Yes.
So, and I don't have a problem with that. Because I don't have to buy it. I I've purchased extra add-on content for Ni no Kuni.
Which you buy for? There's already DLC for that game?
It is extra familiars.
You bought Pokemon.
They're not actually in the game, so you can't go hunt them.
So you bought Pokemon.
Well, actually, I bought tickets, and I haven't figured out how to
redeem said tickets.
I feel like I feel like I should say like I'm Andy and I'm yeah. So I have tickets.
You have tickets to buy Pokemon, but you don't know where you can take the tickets to buy Pokemon.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it's a good game, and I wanted to support it. And
I understand.
Was like, oh, it's a cute little dragon. I want a cute little dragon.
How about you beat the game first? You beat the game, then you buy the DLC.
I mean, it's true. Like the Zen pinball tables, like even when they don't come out in packs, I still buy them. I bought the Civil War table because I like Civil War, the storyline. Yeah. I know that Zen Pinball has done good things with that, but I haven't really played that table that much. It hasn't turned out to be my favorite table, but I'm still supporting them. I still want them to have my money.
Did you put your $10 worth or 10 plays worth of time into it?
It wasn't $10. I think it was $3.
Or $10, no, whatever.
Yeah,
12
I played
plays
that
worth
much.
of it.
Yeah. So, okay, I played enough to get a high score and was like, okay, well, if someone beats my high score, I'll go back. But I want them to have my money, so I will gladly give developers. I will gladly
pay for
I'm trying to think of
that you may not make the best use of.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like the dumbest instance of this. Okay, here's a good example. We know I love Lunar, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And how many times have you bought it?
A lot.
5 or 6.
But most of those have been used.
Yes.
I think I've only bought.
You bought the PSP one new, didn't you?
PSP
Did you buy it
one
on the
I bought
PSN?
new. No.
You bought the physical.
PSP one I bought new. I bought Sega CD one new. Back in the day. But if they released a new Lunar, let's make it as dumb as possible. They released a new Lunar.
Silver Star, the remake HD.
Well, Lunar for Facebook.
OC remix.
And it's actually, and I sit down and play it, and it's free, and I play the first part of it, and I feel it's just like Lunar. And they're like, oh, well, you got to pay $5.
You pay the $5 to keep going.
$5.
Yeah.
If they give me that, in fact, I would keep shoveling money into that game.
You play until you get to the White Dragon, and then it's like, oh, here, give me $5. Oh, okay, and then you play until you get to the...
Because it's like, when dev studios, and publishers too, not just dev studios, but when specifically dev studios have earned my respect, and I want to give them my money, I will go above and beyond the $60 price tag. Oh. And there are a lot of people in this day and age, shall remain nameless, that will not even go to the $60 price tag and will still bitch about microtransactions. If you're buying used games, if you bought Dead Space 3 used, and you are on a forum complaining about the microtransactions being in there, microtransactions that you don't need to do to play the game, you are what is wrong with our hobby.
Yeah, that is a very good point. And I'm saying, like...
Because I bet you Dead Space 3 came out 3 weeks ago?
3 or 4 weeks ago.
I bet you I can walk into GameStop right now and buy 5 copies off the wall, all used.
Oh, probably. For $55 instead of $60.
Yeah. And the guys at Visceral Games, even though everything I've heard about Dead Space 3 hasn't made me want to buy it at $60 new, just because it's a more action-y game and I'm not in for that right now. Yeah. They're good guys. And they make good games. Yeah. And they deserve to be recouped costs any way they can.
Yeah.
And if that means taking advantage of that guy that has 3 kids and wants to play Dead Space 3 in one sitting, by all means. He gets something out of it that he wants. They get something out of it that they want.
Yeah.
That's how this thing works.
It's give and take.
And Nino in level 5 I love level 5, and I happily plunked down money for...
How much did you pay for those tickets?
$2.
Each?
No.
Oh. Well,
I got one free. Well, one little red dragon free.
So they got you with the one free.
No, but it was only free because I happened to be on the PSN. It was free for that first week.
Gotcha.
Like, coming up, you buy God of War Ascension, and they include 2 combatants for PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale.
Oh,
or you can pay $2 and get... It's Zeus and Dead Space Isaac.
Okay.
Or you can pay $2 a pop, or $3, I don't know what it is, and get them.
You can pay for them separately.
Yeah. And I think that's good. I think it's a good way, like especially with fighting games, especially, I think it's a good way to keep engaged in your community.
Yeah.
And
then they're doing a pretty good job with PlayStation All-Stars. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. Yeah. It's ridiculous. But they're doing a good job with that where it's, they bring out a new character every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it is. Or 2-pack usually. And it's not like it's overpriced. And you don't need to buy these characters, but you will have to download the patches when you play against people who have them.
Yeah, and Superbot, the problem is Superbot's the dev team's no longer on that game.
So now it's like the B team?
Well, it's Sony.
Oh, okay.
Whoever at Sony's doing it. But Seth Killian's still behind it, so
that's good.
He's a good guy. So there's a lot of things I think going forward. One, there's a lot of entitlement in our world.
There is a ton of it.
And there's a lot of hate, especially on the internet.
All the time.
And when those two things come together.
Hate and entitlement.
Hate and entitlement. Does I call it hate entitlement?
Hate.
Bad things happen.
Indeed.
And this whole outpouring against microtransactions and DLC and all this stuff, you have to realize that at the end of the day, even if the money goes to the publisher, and the publisher's a big bad guy in a suit. He's the man.
They're still filtering it down to the developers.
It still filters down to the people that made that game.
Yeah.
And if you like that game, then yes, you have
probably
the right to
should
pay
do that.
And if you don't like that game, don't buy it. Don't pay for it. Don't do the microtransactions.
What if you bought the game and you didn't feel as though you got your money?
Well, once again, like that's there. I feel like you have a legitimate gripe.
So what do you do in that situation? What do you do?
What do I do?
What would you do if you say bought Assassin's Creed 3 because you liked the first 5?
Okay, and you didn't like Assassin's Creed 3.
And you didn't like AC3. What would you do?
Don't buy the next one.
Okay.
I mean, that's how businesses work. They go back, like the Call of Duty publisher, Activision, saw that Call of Duty 2 sold well.
Yeah.
Call of Duty 3 didn't. Call of Duty 4 sold gangbusters because of this add-on perk thing.
Yeah.
Call of Duty World at War didn't.
Because it didn't have it.
So the next one had perks, so now they all have perks.
Yeah.
And that's how they look at things for the long term. And that's your best way as a consumer. If you've already plunked down the $60.
So speak with your wallet.
Yeah. Well, once again, that's what it all comes down to.
Yeah,
and it's the slowest process. And, if there are 1,000 dads out there that are buying microtransactions, it doesn't matter whether or not you buy them, they're going to be in the next game.
Yeah, they will.
If there's an audience for it, if there's a market for it, it'll be there again.
Well, and EA knows that there's going to be, because I think I read an article this week that says all of their current games, all the games that are currently being developed for EA companies are going to have microtransactions.
Yes, because it works.
Yeah,
and it makes money. And if it didn't make money, they wouldn't do it. So anyway, guys, we'll see you next week. I hope the snow melts. I hope spring finds all you very happy. God of War Ascension's coming out. We're excited for that. BioShock Infinite's coming out. We're excited for that.
Well, you are. I'm not. I haven't played a BioShock game, so I don't care.
Oh, weird. I'm gonna let you borrow some.
I can play.
You guys, don't forget to spay new Pokemon. See you later.